Good day. Welcome to NATO Headquarters. We will now hear from the NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg and the Chairman of the Presidency of Bosnia and Herzegovina, Denis Bećirović.
Chairman of the Presidency of Bosnia and Herzegovina, dear Denis, it's great to have you here. Welcome to NATO. It's great to see you again. And actually, welcome back to the NATO headquarters. We last met during my visit to Bosnia and Herzegovina in November. And the Deputy Secretary General led the visit of the North Atlantic Council to Sarajevo earlier this year. Your visit today is a chance to take stock of our partnership and discuss what more we can do together. Bosnia and Herzegovina is a long-standing NATO partner. We strongly support your sovereignty and territorial integrity. We continue to support the EU-led Operation Althea under the Berlin Plus arrangements to maintain a safe and secure environment. And we commend Bosnia and Herzegovina for your recent progress on the path towards membership in the European Union. But we remain deeply concerned by continued secessionist policies and divisive rhetoric. This is reckless and dangerous. It undermines hard-won progress and hampers reforms which would benefit your people. All political leaders must work together to preserve unity and safeguard national institutions. This is key for peace and security in the country and for stability in the Western Balkans. NATO has been committed to our partnership for many years. We support your security reforms efforts through our headquarters in Sarajevo and through our defense capacity building package. We are now helping you to strengthen your capabilities further in areas including crisis management, cyber defense, and countering terrorism. We also appreciate Bosnia and Herzegovina's contributions to our common security, and I welcome your efforts to upgrade your armed forces to work even more closely with NATO, including through the certification of a light infantry battalion to NATO standards of combat readiness. NATO's commitment to Bosnia and Herzegovina is firm, and we stand ready to continue our political dialogue and strengthen our practical cooperation for the benefit of our shared security. So, Chairman, thank you again for being here today. Please, you have the floor. Welcome.
Thank you. Poštovani predstavnici medija, uvaženi generalni sekretaru NATO-a, dozvolite mi da kao predsjedavajući predsjedništva Bosne i Hercegovine,
please allow me to, as the current chairman of the Presidency of Bosnia and Herzegovina, thank you for the overall assistance you have provided to Bosnia and Herzegovina. NATO is one of the key factors ensuring peace and security in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Citizens of Bosnia and Herzegovina truly appreciate that. That is why it is not a coincidence that the vast majority of citizens of Bosnia and Herzegovina support the NATO future of Bosnia and Herzegovina. I would like to thank you particularly, you personally, Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, for the assistance you have provided to Bosnia and Herzegovina for maintaining peace and security in Bosnia and Herzegovina. It is very important what you have been saying and what you said right now, that you and NATO fully support the independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity of Bosnia and Herzegovina. The role of NATO in Bosnia and Herzegovina is multiple. Annex 1 of the Dayton Peace Agreement gives NATO the mandate to establish the forces functioning following the authorizations and under the auspices of NATO through the NATO chain of command. In case of any jeopardy for peace and security in Bosnia and Herzegovina, NATO has a clear international basis for action. Therefore, I wish to support this proactive action and proactive activities of NATO, including any necessary deterrence and including the presence of NATO forces in military bases throughout Bosnia and Herzegovina. Full membership in NATO is one of strategic foreign policy goals of Bosnia and Herzegovina. That is what has been decided by the state authorities of Bosnia and Herzegovina. This vote was made by having the votes of the representatives of both entities in Bosnia and Herzegovina and all nations in Bosnia and Herzegovina. That creates a very clear legal framework. Specifically, state institutions of Bosnia and Herzegovina have adopted all necessary legal, strategic and conceptual document in area of defense. Further evidence of this is the alone defense of Bosnia and Herzegovina, as well as the review of defense of Bosnia and Herzegovina, defense politics of Bosnia and Herzegovina, security politics of Bosnia and Herzegovina. We have adopted the Presidency of Bosnia and Herzegovina, the statement that our goal is Bosnia and Herzegovina entering NATO, and finally the resolution of the Parliament of Bosnia and Herzegovina also stating that our goal is Bosnia and Herzegovina joining NATO. I wish to specifically emphasize the importance of Article 84 of the Law on Defense. That particular article says the following: Presidency of Bosnia and Herzegovina, Parliament of Bosnia and Herzegovina, the Council of Ministers of Bosnia and Herzegovina, and all defense subjects will, I quote, implement any necessary activities for Bosnia and Herzegovina being joining NATO. So this is our legal obligation as well. Our path has now lasted for almost 20 years. We have done a lot. We have passed a sizable part of this path, and we have achieved some important results. Bosnia and Herzegovina cannot turn back at this point. We are knocking at the door of NATO, and this is an opportunity that we have to use for the sake of all the people and all the nations in Bosnia and Herzegovina. We have shown that Bosnia and Herzegovina is a reliable partner to NATO, and this is very important. We have also achieved some specific results in the last years. Specifically, I will mention some of them. We have adopted 3 IMPs, which have been submitted to Brussels. After that, NATO officially confirmed that MAP was activated for Bosnia and Herzegovina. This particular mandate of Presidency of Bosnia and Herzegovina adopted over 40 decisions in the area of defense. We have also adopted the defense budget in 2023, also the new structure of General Code for Bosnia and Herzegovina following 2 years of blockades. We have appointed new generals for the armed forces of Bosnia and Herzegovina after 2 years of blockades that we had to face. During the sessions of the Presidency of Bosnia and Herzegovina, we have approved the military missions being sent abroad, as well as participation of the armed forces of Bosnia and Herzegovina in the peace-building operations, thus providing our contribution to our collective security. We have activated the Battalion Strike Force Light Infantry, armed forces of Bosnia and Herzegovina, which has been evaluated positively by NATO. Bosnia and Herzegovina, for the first time, was invited to provide contribution to NATO Response Force, which is basically high readiness force able to quickly deploy. We have met all formal conditions for Bosnia and Herzegovina being sent a formal invitation to join NATO. We have adopted all legal acts, all political acts defining the aspirations of Bosnia and Herzegovina regarding our NATO membership. We have reached a high level of interoperability between the defense and the security sector in the country. Bosnia and Herzegovina is ready for joint action in line with NATO standards. Finally, I would like to say that this encouraging and very important meeting for us, meeting with Secretary General, was an opportunity for me to suggest some specific suggestions, and hopefully the leaders of NATO will consider my suggestions. I suggested, to be more specific, that NATO, through more comprehensive implementation of the action plan for membership, Bosnia and Herzegovina, define a higher level and more specific level of integrity and connectivity between NATO and Bosnia and Herzegovina, which would include more specific security safeguards, hopefully to be confirmed by NATO decision during the next summit to take place in Washington. I also suggested that Bosnia and Herzegovina, which is an aspiring country for membership in NATO, that NATO confirms NAC plus Bosnia and Herzegovina format future meetings, and that would additionally intensify the NATO path of Bosnia and Herzegovina. I also suggested that NATO affirms proactive engagement, including any necessary deterrence, and strengthen the presence of NATO in military bases in Bosnia and Herzegovina in order to prevent any jeopardy against peace and security in the country. We are all aware that lately, unfortunately, there has been the influence of anti-Dayton forces, which have been jeopardizing both Dayton peace agreement and peace in Bosnia and Herzegovina. I also suggested that NATO in the future make an additional step forward, very important for Bosnia and Herzegovina, but also for NATO, which would be the invitation to Bosnia and Herzegovina to join NATO. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have a question from Nerma Ajnadić from Crveni Avaz.
Hi, Crveni Avaz, Bosnia and Herzegovina. Can we expect Bosnia sincerely to join NATO, and what our authorities can also do more on that path?
Well, Bosnia and Herzegovina has the status as a country which has the membership action plan. It is activated for Bosnia and Herzegovina, and of course the purpose of a membership action plan is to make Bosnia and Herzegovina a member of NATO. But to do so, to finalize that process, there are two conditions. One is, of course, that the reforms that are necessary to implement are really implemented. So Bosnia and Herzegovina needs to continue its reform efforts. And I think it's important to understand that to strengthen the government institutions, to strengthen the multi-ethnic nature of, for instance, the armed forces, these are good things to do regardless of membership in NATO, but also helps to move towards a membership of NATO. So the reforms have the value in themselves, but also helps towards membership of NATO. And these reforms are also helping Bosnia and Herzegovina to move towards EU membership. So reforms strengthening the governance and public institutions, democratic institutions, is the first condition. The second is, of course, that it has to be wanted by the people of Bosnia and Herzegovina and the political authorities in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And that's not for me to decide, that's for Bosnia and Herzegovina to decide. But I think we need to realize that even though perhaps membership is not something that will happen tomorrow, the efforts to move towards membership will strengthen Bosnia and Herzegovina, will stabilize the country, and also help to realize EU membership.
Okay, thank you very much. The press conference is concluded. Thank you.
Thank you.